A young loser named Yuji Kazami was taken into a police station where he was questioned by a police officer. After mocking the officer and answered him that his occupation is being a student, Yuji was released and he met a young woman with glasses. As she was driving to the school, she was shocked when she thought Yuji was carrying a pistol in his luggage, which caused her to let go of the wheel and was about to crash on the truck until Yuji barely moved her car out of the way, saving her and himself, though she still looked scared. Yuji and the girl finally arrived at the school, Mahama Academy, and it looked like an ordinary normal school. Then inside the school, the girl introduced herself as Chizuru Tachibana, the principal of that school. Yuji asked Chizuru why does that school look deserted, which she told him that, him included, there are only 6 students enrolled in this academy. He then asked her about that school being an ordinary school, which she said yes, even though there is a camera outside of the building. Next, Chizuru showed Yuji where will he live, a student dormitory. Suddenly, someone appeared behind Yuji, and it was that maid-looking girl who asked him if he is a transferred student or a prowler. After Yuji greeted her, the girl introduced herself as Sachi Komine, the first-year student of the academy. Yuji asked Sachi why is she wearing a maid uniform, which she answered that she is entrusted with the role of class representative by helping teachers and perform many tasks, so she ended up wearing that uniform. Afterwards, Sachi showed Yuji the caretaker room, where he will fill his role as the dormitory leader. Later that night, Yuji is taking a bath, thinking about his ordinary life. The next day, Yuji got up early, in the nude, as he put the eye drops in his eye and drank the oolong tea bottle. After he puts his clothes on, Yuji goes out jogging, as that reminded him of what his master taught him, about running fast, hitting hard, and reading books, while a cat just saw Yuji running by. After that, Yuji took a shower and ate cereal and milk for breakfast. After he put on a student uniform, and that he was about to go to school, he encountered a red-haired girl holding a hairbrush, while she tripped. Just then, there is another girl who ended up getting caught by a red-haired girl and getting her hair brushed by force. Afterwards, Yuji greeted the red-haired girl as she introduced herself as Amain Su. Amain wanted that other girl to introduce herself to him. She is shy, but the girl managed to introduce herself as Makaina Irisu. Later, inside the school building and a little too early, Yuji heard and saw yet another girl inside a classroom, and it looked like she was acting. As he entered the classroom, the girl backed away and angrily asked him who he is, which he introduced himself to her. She tried denying when she said that she is not acting, and then she blushed while talking to herself. She then introduced herself as Michiru Matsushima, and she asked him if he got a sense of humor, which he is not fond of it. She then tell him to address her as her own name, and then she was silent for a moment until she embarrassed herself, asking herself that she did something bad. Yuji agrees that he will call her by her own name, and for her relief, Michiru took something out of her pink bag and ate some kind of pills, which she thinks of it as a Ramoon candy. When Yuji greeted her and wants her to shake hands with him, she rejects it, which he understands, although she was expecting him to be confused. Yuji then said that Sundar girls have it rough. When Sachi said Michiru-sama, Michiru quickly silenced her and doesn't want her to call her that, telling Sachi that it was a joke, which saddened Sachi. But then Michiru realized that she didn't mean to say that to her and wants her to call her whatever she wants by order. Later after class, Sachi gave Yuji a tour of the academy, such as showing him the school's main facilities. After that, he tells her that there's only one student whom he didn't say hello to yet, and it happens to be that girl, Sakaki, in which Sachi suddenly leaves without a reason. Next, inside a classroom, there is a girl in her seat reading her book, and when Yuji came inside, he asked her if she is that Yumiko Sakaki person who was absent earlier that day. The episode begins with Yumiko attempting to kill Yuji from behind with her knife, though he easily dodged her. She asked him how did he dodge that, which he teased him about his timing at half speed. He asked her about not thinking of anything of trying to shed a classmate's blood, which she claimed to be innocent since she didn't cut him. After that, Amain asked Yuji about him having a rough time and told him that he tried to get closer to Yumiko too quickly. Later that day, on that intense heat, while reading a book, Yuji notices Makaina sleeping in the shade near a tree. He checked her pulse, which she does have one. Makaina woke up, eats an apple, and walks away from a garden fountain to a pond where she feeds the fishes. She was about to walk away, but not before he asked her why is she avoiding him, but she doesn't answer. He then asked her if she remembers his name, which she does, and while calling him by his own name is embarrassing for her. Next, it looked like Yuji caught a crawfish, which Makaina calls it clawfish for some reason. He then tells her about how does the crawfish turn red and turn blue. Much later, Makaina thanked Yuji for playing with her and for teaching her how to catch a crawfish, which she did caught one. Before she ran home, Makaina gave him an apple as thanks, which he then took a bite out of it. Just then, Yumiko is seeing Yuji when she is on the rooftop. In a flashback, Yumiko was outraged and asked Chizuru about letting Yuji enroll at the school, in which Yumiko thinks of it as a girls' school. Chizuru calmly told her that nothing bad will happen in his case. Later, Yumiko did a research on the internet website named Set a Thief to Catch a Thief to gather information about Yuji. After a flashback, she doesn't think that he is a normal person, and she still can't accept him. Yuji notices on who was on the rooftop, but there was nothing up there. Next day, Yumiko once again attempts to kill Yuji, and he easily dodged her again. She tried again. Makaina told Michiru that she will get a bloody payback, in which Michiru tells her to cut out. Later, in Chizuru's office, Chizuru explained to Yuji that anyone who intrudes on Yumiko's territory scares her. Chizuru then tells him that Yumiko have been in the academy as a student since the founding, and that all of a sudden, a member of the opposite sex, and who's a total enigma to her, is there. In other words, Yumiko is trying to eliminate Yuji. Chizuru wants Yuji to figure out how to deal with that problem on his own. After that, Yuji is outside, thinking about what will he do once he gets used to his ordinary school life. Just then, Makaina appeared out of nowhere, and she followed him as he bought an oolong tea box for him and an apple juice box for her from the vending machine. Then, Makaina wants Yuji to tell her a story, a cool story for that hot day. To be precise, one story later, Amain witnessed that Yuji and Makaina are getting along and asked him if he could do the same with Yumiko, which is easier said than done, though Amain doesn't think she's a bad person. Suddenly, they just saw a blonde woman waving in front of the school gate. Amain asked Yuji if he knows that blonde woman, which he claims that he doesn't know her. When Yuji went back inside the classroom, Amain suspiciously asked him about that blonde woman that he met, and of course, Sachi wants to know as well. When the school bell rang, Amain sits in front of him and asked him about that woman being his girlfriend, which he said that is a stupid question. She then asked him about what was he doing before he enrolled in the academy, and he explains that he was a freeloader and was taken care of by an older, unrelated woman, and it was a friend of that blonde woman. And after she died, there was a time where Chizuru is hiding behind Yumiko's back and told her that a biker gang appeared, but that biker gang happened to be Amain, where she is enrolling to that academy. Soon after, Yumiko was called by Chizuru that another student is transferring to school, and that is how Yuji enrolled in that academy. Yuji is jogging back to the dormitory when suddenly he saw Amain breaking into his room by unlocking the door with her pick. As he goes hiding behind the wall, she tries to get him on his bed, only to realize that the bed is empty and he is not in his room. Her reason is that she was going to give him a wake-up kiss. Then, she picks up his shirt and starts smelling it. After that, she jumped onto his bed, smelled his pillow, and starts masturbating. Yuji came into his room to drink an oolong tea bottle, and Amain just embarrassed herself for what she's doing and that he just saw her doing that. Later, as Yuji, Amain, and Makaina are running late for their class, Makaina blamed her for staying in the bathroom for too long. Makaina then said that she hates running, so Yuji teaches her a song that makes running more fun. Next, Sachi made a list for her grocery shopping. Yumiko informed both Amain and Makaina that they have an afternoon class coming up, so they went off, but not before Amain informing Yuji about it. Later, as Amain and Makaina returned, she noticed that Sachi still hasn't returned with their drinks. As Amain called Sachi by her phone about her progress, Yumiko answered Yuji's question that no one in the academy is normal, not even him. Afterwards, when Yuji was about to read outside, he heard someone having sex, or so he thinks. As he came out of the bush, it turns out that it's just Michiru and a cat that is grabbing her pouch with its mouth. That cat seems to like her, but she wants to get it back to where it came from, and she asked Yuji for help, which he accepts her request. He gives her a hint that cats don't like the smell of citrus, which will make that cat go away. But Michiru's hair has a smell of grape juice shampoo. Michiru then thanked Yuji with her low voice, and when he says that she doesn't look happy, she denies it and walks away happily. Later, Sachi just took an approval from Yuji's words for something he agreed for and takes off. A few minutes ago, Yuji saw Michiru trip and fall down to the floor, while he teased her when he saw her as a mop head, as the zipper from her shark pouch to be ruined. As she was about to go ask Sachi to fix it, Sachi appeared out of nowhere and scares her. Sachi then noticed Michiru's pink shark pouch, which she finds it cute, to which Yuji agreed with her. Michiru then teased him if he wants a shark pouch, but for some reason, he answered and agreed on autopilot. And then, Yuji starts to lose it and bangs the wall a couple of times shouting, "Sleep is vital." Just then, Makaina appeared and heard his commotion. Later, while the girls are playing baseball, Amain fell down and sprained her ankle, and Yuji took her to the nurse's office. But since there is no nurse, he treated her injury himself. Amain then asked him about him acting so cold to her. As he was about to leave, she quickly grabbed him and doesn't want him to leave her all alone. Then, she wants him to be her boyfriend, because ever since they met for the first time, she fell in love with him and confessed her love to him, and he wants him to go on a date with her. But even that doesn't suit him well, so she decides to become his big sister instead, but he denies her request. However, after he sees her losing confidence as a woman, he gave in and decides to play along. And then, she patted on his head for accepting her request. Later, during lunchtime as Yuji is eating his ordinary lunch, Amain and Makaina brought a big lunchbox so they can all eat together. And then, Amain fed him with the lunch that she made for him. Yuji remembered in his thoughts about how he tried to live on his own after his master's death, and asked himself that is his ordinary life worth it and would accept that happiness. Then, it's Makina's turn to feed him. While Yuji is jogging, he witnessed Michiru viewing at the ocean from a cliff. She explained to him about why is she viewing the ocean. Suddenly, the cat that was at the academy before returned to her, in which Yuji claims that she was there for that cat, while she denies it, and yet she pats on its head because it likes her. Yuji remembered what that cat's name was, and he thinks it's called Ronmel, but Michiru corrects him out of anger that the cat's name is Meow Kitty. Then, as she feeds Meow Kitty with cat snacks, she asked Yuji what would happen when people die. Back at the dormitory, while stretching his leg, he saw Michiru drinking a sour lemon juice pouch. Then, in a flashback, after she asked him that question from before, he explains that it's like falling asleep and never waking up again, like an eternal sleep. She then tells him to bury her in that same area when she dies. Later, there was an anime in the TV, and that show is called The Fresh Fish Soup Man. Tuna Man and Makaina and Sachi are watching that anime, with Makaina shouting Tuna Man and Sachi shouting Shark Man, while Yuji is doing his push-ups with one hand. The next day, in the afternoon, Yuji came back to the dormitory as he was heading to his room, until Makaina tells him that she, along with Amain and Sachi, were talking about friendship. Later, Yuji went out to look for her, and she found her in the garden fountain, and it looked like she is in pain. He tried to take her back to the dorm, but she refused to go with him and walked away from him. Then, he went to look for her again and found her in the same cliff from before. Michiru then tells him that she doesn't like the wind. Then, she turned around, and he saw her eyes changed into green. It looked like she was better now, and she is just taking a rest with Meow Kitty. Next day, Michiru tells Yumiko that she needs to do her exercise instead of reading a book, which Yumiko did to an extent. Michiru claimed that she is a super athlete, but Yumiko finds that hard to believe. Then Yuji, in his monologue, claimed that the Michiru that he spoke with and got kissed by her wasn't the Michiru he knew. After Yumiko flicked Michiru's forehead and walked out of the classroom, Michiru asked him what is wrong, and just when he left the classroom, she went after him and wants to know what's really going on. He then wants to know if she did something to him the other day. in which he claimed that she osculated him, which she doesn't know what it means, so she wants him to reenact a little. But then she claimed to know what osculate means, but as he was about to tell her that it's not what he meant, she silenced him and claimed that she was right. Yuji doesn't believe her, so she wants him to prove her wrong. As he leaned closer to her lips to show her what osculate really means, she ran away. Outside the building, as Michiru ate the pills, Meow Kitty leaped to her head, but then she scared him off, unintentionally, as she tried to apologize to him. Later that day, she was trying to find Meow Mel, as she officially called that name, while carrying a bag of biscuits. She still tried to find Meow Mel, and when Yuji asked her if she gave that cat a name like that, she told him that she combined the weird name, thanks to him. As the sun is about to set, Yuji told her that they should head back, but she doesn't want to, because she felt guilty for being too cold to Meow Mel and wants to apologize to him by bringing him the biscuits. Yuji claimed that Meow Mel is a stray cat, but soon realized that he is Michiru's best friend. Before they went back to the dorm, Yuji wants her to go on, and he'll catch up with her later. Suddenly, he saw blood trail, and that blood came from Meow Mel, which means that Meow Mel is dying. Then, Michiru witnessed a dying Meow Mel and cried in agony. Yuji then made a taxi stop in front of him, and as the end credits roll by, he and Michiru try to take Meow Mel to a vet. As she tried to feed Meow Mel with the biscuits, Yuji told her to hold him close as he is about to die, but she doesn't believe it. Meow Mel coughed blood in her hand, and then he gave his last breath and died on her. Yuji went inside Michiru's room, as he found her unconscious on the floor with her pills. While Michiru is still resting, she sadly thought about Meow Mel after he died. The next day, as Yuji came out of his room, Michiru, with green eyes, informs him that she is fine. Later, on the rooftop of the academy, Yuji asked Michiru if she is the other Michiru, and also about the real Michiru's whereabouts. The other Michiru told him that the real Michiru will never surface again because she has fallen into a deep, deep darkness. In other words, she doesn't want him to torment Michiru anymore, as she leaves by calling him Yuji-kun, something that he didn't expect her to call him that. Back in the dormitory, Sachi came inside Yuji's room to show him the box that Michiru gave to her. Sachi told him that Michiru doesn't want her to give that box back to her. Yuji noticed that the box is locked, so Sachi thought about breaking it open with her chainsaw, but then she changed her mind since it wouldn't be right for her to do that, so instead, she wants him to open that box for her, which he accepts. After Sachi left his room, Yuji accidentally opened that box and saw what's inside, and he couldn't believe what it is. Then, Yuji goes to the front of Michiru's room and showed the other Michiru her exchange journal with the real Michiru. He didn't believe that a personality could transfer by a heart transplant, but he will have to see it to believe it. As he gives her back her journal, other Michiru informed him that real Michiru told her that she will never return again, but other Michiru was against it. He then asked her if she wants to start her new life, if real Michiru never surface again, but she can't do that with real Michiru's body. Later, Michiru woke up inside a casket, unable to move, as Yuji informs her that he gave her a muscle relaxant, which is temporarily. He then starts burying her alive, saying that it's what she wished for. Michiru woke up again, getting scared as she wets herself. She tried to get out of the casket, but she couldn't. Michiru will now move forward and won't look back anymore. But before she left, she saw Meow Mel one last time. Then, she opened the door back to the real world. Michiru finally got out of the casket, however. She is at her limit and can't get back up until Yuji grabs her hand and gets her out of the hole. He informed her that he waited for 3 days for her to come out of the casket without any food at all. As they were about to go home, Michiru hugged him as thanks for her to realize that she is alive. The rain stopped, and as Yuji is carrying her on his back, she asked him what he would do if she really died, which he told her that the medicine that he made her take was just an ordinary candy. Then, as they looked at the sun rising, Michiru went back to being at Sundara, thinking that she had no feelings for him. Later that day, Yuji took Michiru to America to go to the other girl's house. After arriving in front of the house, the other Michiru shows up again and went to her old house to see her parents again. Afterwards, the other Michiru comes back and hugs him while crying tears of joy. Later, on the outside, he saw the real Michiru praying in front of Meowmel's grave. Michiru then turned to Yuji and smiled at him. In flashback, the schoolgirls are gossiping about Yumiko being the daughter of the mistress, raised apart from her father, and was called back to her family's house after her brother's death. One of the schoolgirls, Ida, tried to get closer to Yumiko, but to her vision of Ida's demonic hand, Yumiko cut her hand with her box cutter, which scares the other two schoolgirls and backed up. Yumiko now learned how to keep living without a place to live. In the office, JB informed the president of the Sakaki family, named Michiaki, that Yumiko's mental condition is stable. Meanwhile, in the dormitory, Yuji and the girls, except Yumiko, are playing a board game, and Michiru is losing when Sachi bought a railroad from her. Yuji then saw Yumiko leaving the dorm, so he left the game and goes after her. Elsewhere, Yumiko noticed that Yuji is following her, as he called her Yumi Yumi, risen her urge to kick him to the curb. Yuji remembered what JB told him what to do. She wants him to be Yumiko's bodyguard and lose against the men who are after Yumiko in a fight. Just then, the sky started to rain, and when lightning struck, it scared her and made her drop her stuff, including her box cutter that he gave it back to her. Suddenly, they are surrounded by the three men, and one of them wants Yuji to move away. When he touched him, instead of getting beaten by the men, Yuji kicked him down. Another man goes to punch him, but Yuji was untouched and kicked him down as well. And when lightning struck again, it scared her again and hugs Yuji in fear. She then realized that she is not as strong as Yuji is and tells him her story about herself. Her father was expecting her mother to give birth to a boy, but Yumiko was born instead. But when she heard her mother saying that Yumiko should have been born as a boy, it hurt her feelings and ran away crying, which she then fell down and had no choice but to cut her own hair. After that, her father's mistress gave birth to a boy, and before she committed suicide, Yumiko's mother's final words were that she apologized for not giving birth to a boy. Yuji noticed that one of the men is looking for them. Yumiko then explained that her father created the school to hide her from society, and that school is none other than Mihama Academy. As they walked home, Michiaki was outraged for what Yuji has done, so he called Chizuru and wants her to expel Yuji from her academy. She refused, but he told her that if she can't expel Yuji, he will have Yumiko study abroad in America, and he will shut her academy down, hanging up his phone. Inside her room, Yumiko saw the cars parking in front of the dorm, and Michiaki came out of the car and ordered Yumiko to come out. Then, Yuji came out, and Michiaki ordered him to move aside and bring him Yumiko. Chizuru came out as well and asked him to wait for a little longer, but Michiaki told her that he had no time to waste. Michiaki sends his men to get her, but then Yumiko fired a bullet on the ground with her handgun that she bought online. The next day, Yuji went to see Michiaki visiting the grave of the Sakaki family, thanking him for letting the school stay open for business. Michiaki gives him the note that he found in Yumiko's room, which says that the Mihama Academy should remain as it is even in her own death. He now learned his lesson that he won't soon forget. Later in the rooftop, JB knew what Yuji just did on that day. He showed Yumiko a note that says that he will help her out with her father, so she can decide how she will live her own life. Then, it turns out that it wasn't Yumiko who shot her father in his shoulder. It was Yuji with his sniper rifle. JB also knew that Yuji disobeyed orders, but he had no choice. Then, JB handed over the family registry to Yumiko so she can start her new life. Later, Yumiko asked Yuji what he really is, and he answered that he is just a student, but she finds that hard to believe. Sachi is sweeping outside the dormitory as Michiru came out and told her that they will be late if they don't hurry. But then Sachi told her that it's Sunday and the campus is closed. Inside the dorm, Yuji and Amain are reading, and Sachi is staring at them both reading a book and a magazine, much to his awareness. Sachi also knew that Amain and Makaina have changed because of Yuji since the day he arrived in the academy, as the girls became more cheerful than ever. She wondered if she could do the same as the others. The next day, Sachi is recovered, and Makaina hugged her as she, along with Michiru, Amain, and even Yumiko, is relieved. Yumiko then wondered where Yuji went. Meanwhile, in the train station, Despite the fact that he hates trains, Yuji arrived at someplace else. Elsewhere, Yuji saw the house and said that it's still there. Then he went to the children's park and noticed the boy climbing up to a girl who is on top, in which it reminds him of himself with a girl. As night falls, Yuji returned to the dorm and saw Amain waiting for Sachi to come out for dinner. Amain explained to him about what is Sachi doing in her room, and Yuji couldn't believe that Sachi is doing as Michiru said about getting rid of the test. He then decides that he will talk to Sachi himself later, and Yumiko insisted that he would do so, as does Amain. Meanwhile, in Sachi's room, Sachi is talking to herself about being a good girl, and on the floor there was a gas mask. The next day comes and Amain and Yumiko are aware of what Sachi is thinking. Then night comes and Sachi sneaked inside the school and drew her planning to destroying the tests. Then another day comes, and Amain woke Sachi up when she was sleeping during class. As night falls again, Sachi brought the tanks, gasoline and dynamites inside the school and planted them all, from the teacher's lounge to the classroom. Sachi then sets up the time on these tanks, in which that these tanks are the time bombs to blow up the entire academy. Suddenly, the girls came inside the classroom, much to Sachi's surprise. As the other girls became worried about Sachi, Michiru then tried to get off the desk, but she nearly fell. As the time bomb reached 0, it didn't explode on Sachi. Then Yuji went inside the classroom and is glad that the girls have all made it inside because he was expecting them. As the girls went back to the dorm, Yuji and Sachi remained in the classroom to clean up the mess. Sachi wants to know how did the bombs didn't explode, and Yuji explained to her that he worked on them to freeze when the timer reached 0. Yuji took Sachi to the coal mine ironworks factory that her parents used to work. He told her that her uncle lent him the key to open the door, and as Sachi went inside, she witnessed a sign on the wall that says, "Happy Birthday, Sachi," along with the pictures of her. She picked up the note. It was from her mother. It says that she and her husband made their wish for Sachi to smile forever and ever, and that they gave her the name Sachi, in which it means happiness. After that, as they were walking back home, Sachi asked Yuji to hug her in 1 minute, and he does. Yuji is shocked when he received an email from Makina, in which it says that she promoted him from brother to father. After showing it to her, Makina really wants Yuji to become her father. Later, on the dormitory, Yuji explained to the other girls that he decided to become Makina's father, much to the girls' confusion about that. He told Makina that he will do anything to protect her and to make her become a fine woman, and then she hugs him. Afterwards, he called JB about his big news, in which she also reacted the same way when he told the girls about that. He explained to her that Makina offered him 70 billion yen in order for him to become her father. It happened earlier that day, when Makina really did offer him the 70 billion yen check, and it was her lifetime allowance, so he held on to it knowing that he wouldn't just leave Makina alone. Then Makina appeared, now officially calling Yuji Papa, and she headbutted him and literally fell on him. And then she kissed him on the lips. Yuji asked her what is she doing, and she explained that it's just a display of affection between father and daughter. Later that day in Chizuru's office, Chizuru showed Yuji the documents about the Irisa family as she told him that the leaders of the family are the grandmother and her daughter, Makina's mother. Chizuru also explained to him that Makina's father married her mother and that he took the secret Irisa ledgers and tried to contact cabinet intelligence, but he died in an accident soon after. Later, when the girls are planting, Yuji appeared and Makina wants to know where has he been. He told her that he had business with Chizuru. Later, it's the last day of the class for the first semester, and summer break is about to start. After class, Makina is so excited about the summer break. Back in the dormitory, Amain asked Yumiko about the whereabouts of Yuji and Makina, but Yumiko didn't see them. Amain is wondering what are Yuji and Makina doing, and Yumiko remembered that Yuji came into her place earlier and ordered something online. After Makina called Yumiko a boring person, Yumiko pulls her cheeks painfully. Just when she thought she would give, Makina calls Yumiko ugly, forcing Yumiko to pull her cheeks once more. Later, on the train station, Amain is about to leave for her trip, and Makina decides to celebrate for Amain's departure by shouting bonsai. During a trip montage, Yuji explained to her that he first met his master 5 or 6 years ago, and after everyone in his family died, he lived and was raised by that one person who is none other than his master, Asako Kusakabe. After arriving at the gate of the grave of Asako, he explained Makina that he went to America because of Asako's work, and after coming back from America, he lived with her in order to become strong and fearless. He also told her that Asako was not just his master, but she was also like a mother to him the way she raised him from a cowardly little brat to a decent man. Yuji then arrived at the headquarters with his code name number 9029, but then he witnessed that JB is not alone because there is a secretary named Kiara Farrell. JB ordered Kiara to bring them 2 coffees and make her a decaf. Before leaving, Kiara told Yuji that she is a big fan of him and would like to take a picture with him. Afterwards, JB gives him an assignment for him to kill, and as he opened an envelope, he is shocked when he witnessed that his latest assassination target is none other than Makina Irisu. In a flashback, Masataka Irisu, Makina's father, was shot by a gang of thugs, and one of the thugs told him that he was being used and cheated by his own wife. Meanwhile, in the headquarters, JB's boss is disappointed in her that Yuji is disobeying a direct order. Kiara then informed her boss that they have found Yuji, codenamed 9029, and he ordered her to order the men to secure Yuji. Later, under the bridge, the men are looking for Yuji until Yuji himself shows up and beats up the men. In another flashback, Yuji is shocked when JB ordered him to kill his own classmate, Makina, and if he refuses, she will arrest him. So he had no choice but to take the job. After a flashback, Kiara keeps losing the signal from the men. In JB's thoughts, she demands Yuji to tell her how long is he going to keep up. It all happened 20 hours ago, when Yuji and Makina are about to leave the dormitory for the time being. After leaving, Yuji still promised that he won't let her die, no matter what happens. Then, they saw Yumiko on the rooftop, since they knew that they didn't say goodbye to her. Later, Yuji witnessed JB's car, and asked her why are the Irisa family so fixated on Makina, in which she explained that it's their fear of Makina. After she explained to him, Yuji told her that he would rather protect Makina, even if he dies trying. Later that night, Yuji came back to the apartment that he rented it for a while and witnessed that Makina is sleeping and crying. The next day, Makina brought Yuji some curry breads. Meanwhile, in the HQ, JB and Kiara are hearing what is Yuji doing, and Kiara has found a hiding spot. Yuji and Makina hid themselves in the refrigerator. As the men discovered a lunchbox, the gas was released. It was a pesticide, but they put their gas mask on as they went inside the room. But then JB realized that it's a trap, and the heat caused the apartment to explode. The men have managed to confiscate the evidence, but Yuji and Makina have managed to escape in the vehicle, which is impossible for the HQ to track on them. They came out of the car, but Makina soon realized that she left her apple sapling back at the apartment, and Yuji told her that there's nothing they can do to get back. The next day, as the sun sets, Kiara informed JB that an apple sapling was at the apartment. JB got the info from the professor that he ordered her to bring back the apple sapling where it came from. Later, Yuji took the gun from one of the men, and as he went back to another apartment, he witnessed that Makina is gone back to that other apartment to find an apple sapling. When Makina found an apple sapling in that room, she noticed that it was a trap, and one man with a gun got her cornered. Makina is now on her verge of death as Yuji grabs her and takes her to a hospital. However, JB stopped Yuji and points her gun at him, forcing him to surrender and hand over the dying Makina. But on the next day, rather than letting Makina die, she took her to a hospital. Makina's mother, Kyoka Irisu, visited her, much to her carelessness, and she is aware of the fact that Serena is hospitalized and needs an organ donation. Later that night, Makina wakes up and sees an apple sapling next to her. Then, in the Irisu HQ, Kyoka made her choice to let the police secure the HQ. Then, a delivery man came from the elevator and Kyoka's assistant checked what is inside a delivery box. It is a note that says, "Make a sound and you die." Then, he takes out a gun and shoots Kyoka's assistant for making a sound. it was revealed that the delivery man was Yuji himself. He shot her, killing her as he walked away. The next day, there was the news about an unidentified man who murdered Kyoka, who was the president of the Iris Global Company. Then, Yuji now realized that JB helped him. Yuji and Makina then came back to school to meet the girls again. They are all happy together. JB reached to the school to drop Yuji off, but before he exits her car, she kissed him on his cheek. Sachi was in front of him when she was surprised to see him getting kissed, and she claimed that she did not see a thing. Yuji tries to explain to her that it was all a misunderstanding, and yet she claims that it is just two adults playing around, much to her panic when she asked him to kiss her to make sure she will not say a thing. As Yuji went back to his room, Amain is in there, waiting for him as she ironed his clothes. She then asked him if he would want dinner, take a shower, or water, but Yuji quickly decided to take a shower first, much to her dissatisfaction. After Yuji took a shower, Amain finished making dinner for him. Just then, she received an email from Sachi and suddenly, she gets a little mad and asked Yuji about the picture of him getting kissed by JB, indicating that Sachi herself took that picture. Yuji then explained to Amain that JB is his boss and was teasing him a little. She then told him that she would forgive him if he kisses her. Yuji then stands up, grabs her, and kisses her on the lips. Amain was surprised and shocked at the same time when she told him that it was her first kiss. He then decides that it is okay for her to be his girlfriend, although there are conditions. If he disappears or dies, he wants her to not cry. She accepts the conditions, but suddenly, she started crying as she now remembers who that other girl was, a basketball club member of Class 1A from the Takazono Private Academy named Kazuki Kazami. Yuji was shocked to hear about his own sister. Amain explained to him what happened 6 years ago, on August 14th. While on their way home from the girls' basketball summer camp, the bus, carrying 14 students, including Kazuki, disappeared. That event was known as the Takazono Academy minibus disaster, and the sole survivor is Amain herself. Yuji is still shocked that she didn't tell him about Kazuki being Amain's classmate. The girl introduced herself as Kazuki Kazami, as Amain introduced her own name to Kazuki. Kazuki then decides to save the club president because she hated her, much to Amain's confusion. After getting everyone out of the minibus, Kazuki asks Chiaki what does she think if they can treat the injured first. Chiaki doesn't trust the way Kazuki thinks and decides to help the injured. Amain and Kazuki now realize that there are no signals in their phones, and to make things worse, they are in the middle of the forest and climbing up is impossible. Back to the others, it looks like Yoshihiko had a concussion. Hiruka had fractured her left shin and right knee, which had turned purple. Mafuyu had an abdominal laceration when her stomach is pierced by a glass. Kazuki now claimed that Amain is her first friend that she has ever met, and she is happy for that. Later that day, Kazuki finished treating the rest of her classmates, including Haruna's arm, but soon realized that the most injured one is Tamaki herself, and needs to take her to a hospital. Amain then noticed that Kazuki's left arm is broken, as she felt sorry for that, but Kazuki tells her not to, so Amain treated her arm. Just then, Yoshihiko woke up and doesn't know what happened. Kazuki explained to them that the tire was flat out, and they were all lucky that they survived the fall. Chiaki then decides that they should all wait for someone to help them, but Kazuki had a different opinion, and Chiaki told her that it's impossible to do whatever Kazuki is thinking, and she apologized to Chiaki. Back in the bus, it turns out that not everyone survived, as Yoshihiko buried Tsukasa and prayed her to rest in peace. Chiaki ordered the students to prepare their tents for them to camp for the time being, and Kazuki is looking forward to work with Amain. Later that night, Amain asked Kazuki what is she thinking. Kazuki told her that she would just read a book. Kazuki then goes to sleep inside a tent, while Amain is thinking what are they going to do. Disaster Day 2. Amain wakes up and notices that Kazuki is gone. She then watched Minori throwing her cell phone up with a string, in which Minori explained that while she is sending an email, she is throwing her cell phone up to try to get a signal, and yet it still had no signal, unable to send an email. Amain goes to find Kazuki in the middle of the forest, while marking an X on the trees so that she will not get lost. She then found Kazuki as Kazuki came out of the bush, found some edible food for them to eat. Meanwhile, the other girls still cannot get a signal on the cell phone, even when they tied it on a kite. Minori saw Amain coming back, as Amain told her that Kazuki came back to the tent. She then whispered Amain about when getting close to Kazuki. When Amain came back to a tent, she saw Kazuki tending Mifuyu's wound in her stomach the moment after she stitched her stomach, and Kazuki asked Amain to change Tamaki's towel. Meanwhile, the other girls saw a helicopter and start shouting for help in hopes to get out of the forest and go home. Amain and Kazuki soon returned, but unfortunately, the helicopter did not notice the girls. Later that night, the girls are now sleeping. Disaster, Day 3. Tsukasa and the other 2 girls are dead, decayed in the heat. While the girls, except Kazuki, felt disgusted, the girls are now rationing the food, but even Minori gets worried that they will not have any food left any longer. Kazuki then asked Amain if she picked up some medicinal plants, and Amain did. As Kazuki finished tending Mifuyu's wounds, she told her to go outside and get some sun for one day. While Amain and Kazuki are exploring the forest yet again, Kazuki heard that Yoshihiko is leaving on the next day. She also heard that Yoshihiko investigated the area and thought he found a way down the mountain. Kazuki tells Amain to not worry, and inside a tent, Kazuki wakes up and saw Amain writing her diary. Kazuki then tells her to eat snails, but Amain is sick of that. More raining, and Haruna is starting to lose her mind when she was singing about the rain, and Saya yells at her to be quiet. Saya told Amain that Megumi is looking pretty terrible as well, because her puppy Ali-1 had a fever, and she shared her food with him. Saya also told her that everyone is getting weaker and eventually, they will all die. It had been 2 days since Yoshihiko left, and still no help, and the girls are now eating insects and drinking raw water. The rain finally stopped, but Megumi's puppy, Ali-1, is dead. Kazuki came up with her idea that rather than burying him, they should eat him, which shocks the girls, including Megumi. But Chiaki somehow agreed with Kazuki, as they do need to eat him, knowing that they are all hungry. After a game of rock, paper, scissors, Ritsu was chosen to be the one to carve Ali-1, but she refused to do that, not knowing how to prepare a dog meat. Kazuki then butchered the meat from Ali-1, and they have all ate it, while the other girls shed tears at that nourishment, and Megumi had it worse when she cried over her loss of her dog. Amain will never forget the day that she, along with the other, had actually eaten a meat. Megumi collapsed after eating the flower buds. Haruna gets even more delirious from vitamin deficiency. Mifuyu shows signs of blood poisoning, and Tamaki no longer responds. As night falls, Amain can't take it anymore, but Kazuki tells her not to give up, and it's too soon for her to die. The hunger from the girls are at their limit. Kazuki tells Amain the name of her brother, which is Yuji Kazami. Kazumi also tells her that if they survive, she will introduce him to her. Just then Yoshihiko came back, laughing like a maniac. Then, that night, Kazuki woke Amain up, and they witnessed Chiaki and Yoshihiko leaving to the forest. Kazuki is now ready to sneak out, and wants Amain to come with her, since no one came for help, and she also tells her to not bring any demons with her. As they're sneaking out, Kazuki wants Amain to take a look at what's going on while hiding behind the bush. Kazuki now tells her that all hell broke loose, and they have started killing each other. Yoshihiko is about to catch up with them, but Kazuki quickly stops and hits him with a bag, causing him to fall down, and is presumed killed. The girls continue running away when suddenly, they stopped and Minori appeared, and according to Kazuki, Minori is a lost cause, so they ran away from her. Then, Amain stops running, now getting more scared than ever, but Kazuki tells her to snap out of it. Then they heard Saya, who is also a lost cause, looking for them. Kazumi and Amain continue running away yet again, and as the demons heard them running away, Amain tripped from a branch and fell down. Amain could not take it anymore, as she is about to commit suicide by stabbing herself with a knife. However, Kazuki stops her and tells her that she will stay behind so that Amain can escape alone. Amain doesn't like that idea. As Saya and Ritsu are about to catch up to them, Kazuki orders Amain to escape immediately and never look back, leaving Amain no choice but to run away. While running away, Amain regretted that she left Kazuki to die. The 4 days have passed, and Amain woke up but never touched Kazuki's sweets. Amain then walks away, and she noticed that she is losing her hair, but she kept going. But then, Amain saw a vision of Kazuki along with her classmates, but they disappeared as Amain fell down. But suddenly, she heard and saw a car behind the forest. Amain finally got out of the forest and saw a cabbage crop. She then eats one of the cabbages and starts laughing and crying for the fact that she survived. Amain finally came back to the academy as the sole survivor of the disaster, but the others are disappointed that she survived. Later that night, Amain had a nightmare about her classmates who ended up dead. Amain apologized Yuji for keeping it a secret and for sacrificing Kazuki. That was the reason why she was filling in for Kazuki, and that it was all an obligation, not affection. Still feeling guilty, she asked him to kill her, as this is her only choice for her punishment. However, instead of killing her, he hit her head with his hand and tells her not to apologize anymore. But then, he had an idea. Seeing that Amain really loves him, he finally does give a punishment, and that punishment is for her to stay with him and live for his sake forever. Amain then accepts his terms and hugs him while crying tears of joy, though Yuji teases her about her crying. The next day, Yuji and Amain stopped by, and she went to buy some flowers and incense. Just then, a man appeared out of nowhere in front of Yuji and introduced himself as Sakashita, who claims to be Amain's big fan. He told Yuji that he used to be a board member of an IT-related company. Yuji and Amain are off to the grave in the forest, where they will see the grave of Kazuki one last time. Yuji and Amain are walking through the forest with the map that leads to the grave. They stopped in front of the rocks with the X marks, and Yuji dug the container out. Amain opened the container and witnessed a knife and a note that is written by Kazuki. It says that everyone died of illness, and the cause was the skin disease that Tamaki developed, and the toxic soup that everyone ate killed them all. After reading the note, whether Kazuki is alive or dead remains unknown. As they have reached to the memorial stone, Amain looked at the sign on the left, realizing that she, along with the others, could have gone through a detour that would lead them back at the highway in about 3 hours. As they were about to go home, Amain answered the phone, and she thought it was Makaina. But after hearing a familiar voice, it wasn't Makaina. It was a man named Keiji Sakashita, father of Chiaki. Keiji was the one who called Amain, informing her that he has kidnapped her friends inside the classroom and threatened them with his shotgun. 1 hour ago, in the dormitory, just then, someone came inside the dormitory. It was Keiji. He asked them about Amain's whereabouts, but Makaina told him that she is on a date with Yuji. But then, Keiji took out his shotgun and kidnaps them. After a flashback, Sachi was forced to give Keiji her phone, while she left it on in order for Yuji to know. While on their road back home, Yuji called JB and requires assistance from her, and he doesn't want the police to be involved because they will discover the fact that Yumiko survived. Back inside the classroom, as he held them hostage, Yumiko asked Keiji why is he doing this, but when he said about losing his daughter, this reminded Yumiko about her father, Michiaki, who lost her. When Keiji looked what's outside, he starts shooting when he saw a person who is trying to break in. Later, JB knew that breaking in is impossible, and Chizuru questions what is going on. Then, Yuji and Amain arrived, and Amain saw the man with guns and dressed as janitors. She now knows what Yuji's job really is. Then, JB informed them that sniping at Keiji in front of the girls would make him kill them all. However, Yuji came up with a plan. He will lure Keiji out of the classroom and must aim and shoot him from the lighthouse, which is far away from the school. JB thinks that it's impossible, but Yuji wants to do it anyway. The camera shows the position to aim, and JB tells him that he's got a 10-centimeter field of fire. However, Yuji requested a 15-centimeter field of fire, which reminds JB of that incident from 4 years ago. Later that day, back in the classroom, Makaina noticed a beacon from far away. It is a Morse code, and it wants her to lure Keiji in the 3rd floor to the boys' bathroom and destroy the right urinal. Makaina then goes with it and pretends she is about to pee, and then she demands Keiji to take her to the bathroom. Surprisingly, Michiru also wants to go to the bathroom, so Keiji took them all the way to the bathroom. With Keiji gone, Yuji informs JB by a walkie-talkie that the Marine Makina has completed her mission. Then, Amain finally gets inside the classroom, as he has been expecting her. Keiji then throws Amain in the toilet and closed the door on her. As Keiji started to pee, Yuji noticed that he has entered the range. Yuji aimed for Keiji and fired a bullet from his sniping gun, and then a direct hit on his shoulder. Yuji then informs JB that the shot is successful, and she now orders her men to infiltrate. The men appeared in front of the wounded Keiji, and they finally arrest him. Yuji goes back to JB as she informs him that they are all safe, even though Amain has taken a few hits. But that was nothing serious. Finally, Yuji goes inside, and the girls are all happy that he came back, and they all live happily ever after for now. 1 year later, at the Yaima archipelago, near Yonaguni Island, there was a high-speed boat chase, as the police is trying to stop the 2 men that are on the speedboat. One man shoots a rocket from his rocket launcher at the ship and the helicopter, while the other man opens a music box and eats a chocolate from his music box.